Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. Eddie Hearn says that Terence Crawford and Kell Brook is unlikely to happen. This is, for a British fight fan, obviously it's not good news. I think we all would have loved to have seen Brook against Crawford. I think we all would have loved to see Terence Crawford in there with Kell Brook, a big welterweight, a big strong welterweight. Most people would have obviously favoured Crawford in the fight. However, a lot of people did think that Brook could cause Terence Crawford problems. But I think due to this COVID situation, I'm not sure that fight can happen. And not just that, I don't think there's that much money in this fight. I don't think a fight between Kell Brook and Terence Crawford is that big a fight here. Because what you got to realise is both guys are going to be want to be paid millions, right? Brook is going to want to be paid millions, and Crawford obviously is going to want to be paid millions. I don't think this fight, especially with the situation we're in with this COVID and how the financial, how the economic situation and the situation we're currently finding ourselves in, especially no crowds, it's just not viable, that fight. And even when crowds do come back, I don't think there's enough money in that fight to pay both fighters what they want. So I don't think it's possible. I think they'd probably look at an Ugas fight or something like that, where actually I think the fight's more credible. I don't know whether Crawford will get the credit if he beats Ugas. However, that's a more credible fight in terms of, I think Ugas is more dangerous than Brook. However, Brook's a bigger name. Brook's going to want more money, of course, because, he's been in big fights and he is some sort of a name in boxing. So I just don't think financially that fight can get over the line. I don't think that fight's going to be able to get over the line, unfortunately, just because of the fact that I think both guys are going to want good money, and I don't think that fight's big enough and it's going to move the needle enough for Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum to pay the money. And if they do decide to do it, I do think they'll be making a loss on it. Because Kell Brook, although he has fought on pay-per-view here, you've got to look at, I don't think he's done huge numbers on pay-per-view, and he's not that big a name here in the UK. Yeah, he's a decent name, but he's not a mega star. He's no Anthony Joshua, where he's going to be moving the needle. And when you're fighting the best pound for pound fighter, or one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, that best pound for pound fighter is going to want to be paid, and Kell Brook's obviously going to want to be paid. He isn't going to generate the kind of interest in order to get 500, 600, 700, 800,000 pay-per-view buys for that fight. That fight doesn't do even 500,000 pay-per-view buys. I'll be surprised if it does 350. If I'm honest with you, it's not a big fight. Neither guy really. Crawford's not a big star. He's not a big draw. He doesn't really move the needle, and Brook doesn't move the needle here in the UK. Yeah, he's been on pay-per-view, but what's his pay-per-view numbers been like when he's headlined the show? So I don't think that fight does big numbers at all. And unfortunately, I think even though I think the fight's a great fight and the fight's a good fight for boxing fans, I don't think it's possible, and I don't think it's possible even after the crowds come back, because I don't think Brook can go to US and fight Terence Crawford, because Brook's going to want some good money. And unfortunately, like I said, that Brook's not a name in US at all. He's not going to be able to move the needle. I don't even know whether they can put that fight on pay-per-view, right? Let's not forget Amir Khan and Brook did 170,000 pay-per-view buys, something like that, 150 or whatever. And Amir Khan's a well more known name than Kell Brook in the United States, and Crawford only managed to do 150 with him, right? So that I don't even know whether they could put Brook on pay-per-view with Crawford in the US. I don't think they can. So that fight would probably have to happen here, and I don't think the pay-per-view numbers are going to be able to generate the kind of money that Brook and Crawford want. So I don't see that fight happening, if I'm honest with you. So not just with this COVID situation, I just don't see the fight happening even after this, even when this clears up, and if we do get back to normal, I just don't see how they're going to be able to pay both fighters what they want. So I don't think the fight happens. But that's my take on it. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. Are you disappointed that Eddie Hearn said this? Obviously, Eddie Hearn wouldn't say it unless he knows something. So it doesn't look like Brook and Crawford will fight. It's disappointing because I would have loved to see that fight. It would have been a big fight for the UK, but you know, it doesn't look like it's going to take place. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe and staying well. I want to talk about Manny Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia. There is a rumor that fight could take place. Now, we've heard so many rumors. We've heard Golovkin, we've heard Terence Crawford, we've heard about Errol Spence. We don't know what's going on with Manny Pacquiao and who's he going to fight and what's going to go on with his next fight. Is he going to fight again? We've also heard retirement rumors. One thing I will say, if the Mikey Garcia fights takes place, I think a lot of fans will be unhappy. Obviously, Manny will have his hardcore fans that will support him no matter what, but I do think a lot of Manny fans won't be happy with that decision. Manny Pacquiao was going to fight Mikey Garcia. There was a very strong rumor that he was going to fight Mikey Garcia, and the response that fight got was not very good. A lot of Manny fans weren't happy. I've always had the thought that I think Manny Pacquiao's at the stage of his career where he can pick and choose who he wants to fight. A lot of, you know, Crawford and Spence fans don't like that. They want to see him fight Crawford or Spence, so they're saying vacate the belt. I've always had the feeling that Manny will eventually fight Crawford or Spence, but a fight with Mikey Garcia, in my opinion, is not just going to bring criticism from Crawford and Spence fans. I also think his own fans are not going to like the decision. Don't get me wrong, his own fans will still support him and still like him, but they won't be happy with him fighting Mikey Garcia either. Even though I don't see why not. Mikey Garcia is a multiple weight division world champion. He's an unbelievable fighter. It was okay for Spence to fight Mikey Garcia, but it's not okay for Manny to fight Mikey Garcia. Why is that? Why is Spence able to fight Mikey Garcia, who is a massive welterweight, right? A big dude that shouldn't be fighting a lightweight, yet Manny Pacquiao, who's a natural probably 135, is not allowed to fight Mikey Garcia, and that's called a duck. You know, so to me, that's nonsense as far as I'm concerned. I think if Spence is able to fight Mikey Garcia, then Manny is able to fight Mikey Garcia. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. I think it's a great fight for Manny. It's a big money fight. It's a fight where he can earn a lot of money, and it's a fight I think he'll win. And then he can fight maybe a big super fight after that. But I don't know why Manny gets so much criticism for fighting someone like Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is a multiple weight division world champion. Manny Pacquiao's 41 years of age. I think he's earned the right to fight who he wants. If Spence could fight Mikey Garcia, to me, Spence fighting Mikey Garcia was a disgraceful, as far as I'm concerned. Spence is a massive welterweight, right? Fighting Mikey Garcia, and that's disgraceful as far as I'm concerned. And then the performance against Porter, where he just scraped through, again, listen, Spence is a great fighter. I've always been a big fan, and I think he showed that he's a world-class fighter. But fighting Mikey Garcia, for me, was, you know, the reason why I'm not happy with it, because there's certain Spence fans that are not happy with Manny fighting Mikey Garcia, yet it's okay for Spence to fight Mikey Garcia. And we have to give him credit for beating Mikey Garcia. But yet Manny can't fight Mikey Garcia. And it'll be a duck of Spence or Crawford if he fights Mikey Garcia. Doesn't make any sense as far as I'm concerned. So what I'm going to say is I like that fight for Manny on the comeback. Because let's be honest, Spence is going to fight Danny Garcia next. It's not like Spence is going to be fighting Crawford. Spence is going to be fighting Danny Garcia next. So Manny fighting Mikey Garcia, for me, there's nothing wrong with that. I'd like to see that fight. I think it's a good fight, and I think it's a fight that we'll all enjoy. I think it's definitely a great fight. It's not like Manny's fighting a bum. He's fighting a multiple weight division world champion, you know. So let's calm down a little bit. You know, Garcia's a very good fighter. So Manny fighting him, there's nothing wrong with that as far as I'm concerned. You know, but I do think his own fans are not going to be happy because they want to see him fight Spence, Crawford, or Golovkin. A lot of his fans now want to see him fight Golovkin, which I think is a bit far-fetched. But listen, Mikey Garcia is a great comeback fight after the lockdown, and after Manny's not fought since when did he fight? He fought a year ago against Thurman. It's been an exact year because he fought in July, and we're in July now. So Manny not being out the ring for that long is not good for him. And let's be honest, he's not going to be fighting in July. So the latest we're going to see Manny fight is probably at the end of the year. That's the latest. The earliest we're gonna see him fight is at the end of the year. So I can't see. I can't see him jumping into a Golovkin fight or something like that. I think he needs to fight at someone like Mikey Garcia, where it's a tough fight, but it's a fight that I think he'll win. But that's my take on it. I don't think there's anything wrong with him fighting Mikey Garcia, but I do think there's going to be a lot of backlash from the fans if he does decide to fight Mikey Garcia, as I've already explained why. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Guys, listen. Amir Khan and Marcus Maidana had I think a video call where they were both chatting to each other, or not both chatting to each other. There was a guy that was actually that had both of them on a Zoom call, I believe, and they were both talking about their fight, and talking about how Amir Khan saying Marcus Maidana punched very hard. Maidana giving Khan props, and they were just going back and forth, and Amir Khan said, let's do it again. And a lot of people have reacted to this because it was an unbelievable fight, and it was definitely a fight that was worth happening for the second time, because it was a good fight, it was a close fight, and it was an epic fight. It was probably one of the best fights I've ever seen. Most people say it was probably Amir Khan's best win. That fight, just everything about it was special. Khan hurting Maidana in the first round, and people thinking that Maidana's going to get knocked out in the first round. Maidana showing grit, biting down on his gum shield, coming back, hurting Khan later on in the fight in the 10th round, and looked like Khan was about to get knocked out. Khan rallied, bit down on his gum shield, and managed to get through to the bell. So it was unbelievable. It was a great fight, one of the best fights I've ever seen. Obviously people said let's do it again, but let's be honest, they're both nowhere near the fighters they were at that point. Maidana is not fought for ages, and he's blown up very heavy. Khan also, we already seen that he's no longer the fighter he was. So although I'd like to see that fight, I think there's other fights for Khan I'd rather see. I'd rather see Khan fight Adrian Broner, just because I think it's a winnable fight, and also I think that it could be another fighter, another world champion that he can put on his resume. And it's a fight that you would probably say he's favoured in. So it'd be another win where he's already beat Maidana. And listen, I don't know what Maidana's got left. Some people think Khan will knock him out because of Maidana's inactivity. Some people think Maidana would be too strong right now for Khan, so it would definitely be a good fight. It's just that we've seen the fight already. I would like Amir Khan to fight someone else, like a Broner. That's a fight that's got a lot of interest, and a lot of people want to see that fight. A lot of people would love to see. You know what? Amir Khan and Adrian Broner could be a massive fight. That could be a fight that moves the needle in certain places. Listen, both fighters are now, seen as guys that are, surplus to requirements, in the sense that they're not given the same respect they once were in their careers. But I think they're both. Adrian Broner, what he is, he's a big talker. He's a huge name in boxing. Even today, he's a huge name. He demands big money. He gets people's attention. And Amir Khan the same. Amir Khan's a massive name. He makes a lot of money every time he fights. So I think both of them would make a massive fight. That's the kind of fight that could happen here in the UK. I don't think it's a US fight. I think it's a UK fight, a Saudi Arabia fight, something like that. Like, you would rather see Amir Khan v Adrian Broner v Amir Khan with Niraj Goya or something like that. Amir Khan v Adrian Broner is a proper fight. Adrian Broner is a full-weight world champion. Khan's obviously done what he's done in the sport. It would just make for a very big fight. Even though both guys are not held in the same regard they were in whatever point in their career, they're not held in the same regard. They both seem to be past their best. Or in Broner's case, I don't know whether he's interested in boxing. When was the last time Broner fought? Wasn't it the Pacquiao fight at the start of 2018? So he hasn't fought for almost 1.5 years. You know, actually, when did Broner last fight? I can't even remember. Was it at the start of 2019 against Pacquiao? Yeah, that's 1.5 years ago. So Broner, I don't know what Broner's doing with his career. So I think a fight with Amir Khan makes a lot of sense because it makes money. And as they say, anything that makes money makes sense. And I think a Khan-Broner fight is a fight that I would really be interested in. I know they're talking about Khan-Trout and stuff like that, but Khan's got to be clever right now. You know, Khan-Trout's not really that big a fight. Khan-Broner is a big fight and it's a winnable fight. You know, Khan's not going to go into fights with guys like that. That's why I wasn't all for Austin Trout fight, just because I think there's other fights out there that make more sense, like a Broner fight, which a lot more people would be interested in than Khan versus Austin Trout, and it's a bigger payday for Amir Khan. And Broner's a more, I wouldn't say better fighter, but I would say he's achieved more. He's more well known in boxing, so it makes for a great fight. It makes for a great fight, you know, and I think it makes a fight that I think that, you know, could I even go either way. I think Khan in his pride would have wiped the floor with Broner, but I think now, you know, because of Khan's vulnerabilities and how he's looking, gives Broner more of a shot in the fight. Still make Khan a favorite, but you know, it makes for a great fight. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Guys, you know what? I like Errol Spence. He's a fighter that I've watched and I've taken to. I think he's a great fighter. I think Terence Crawford's a very good fighter. However, I'm not a huge fan of Crawford, but nevertheless, he's a good fighter, excellent fighter. You know what I find about certain, I get a bit uncomfortable when I hear their fans, Spence and Crawford fans, saying that, you know, Pacquiao's afraid of them, and Pacquiao's, you know, not this warrior image that he's got, you know, is undeserved. Here's what I would say to some of Spence and Crawford fans, because some Crawford fans come across very delusional. To say Pacquiao's afraid, right? Pacquiao's an 8-division world champion. He's a guy that's moved up so many weight divisions, right? Beaten so many been in the ring. Let's not forget, nobody gave him a prayer against De La Hoya. People thought, and afterwards people said De La Hoya was washed up. But listen, De La Hoya was favored to win that fight. Go back and check it. De La Hoya was a massive favorite, right? People thought Ricky Hatton would beat Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao squashed him, right? Battered him, knocked him out. The fact is that Manny Pacquiao stepped up to the plate time and time again. And he stepped up. Even most people thought Cotto would beat Pacquiao. They thought there was no way he's going to beat Cotto, and he destroyed Cotto. Right? I think, in my opinion, when I look at Spence and Crawford's career, right, both these guys are seen as pound-for-pound fighters, right? But when I look at their careers, I haven't seen anything in their career this far where they're taking a risk. And when I mean a risk, I mean when they're taking a fight where you're thinking, oh my God, that fight is dangerous. You know, he could get hurt. I've seen Amir Khan go up and fight Canelo, right? I've seen Brook go up and fight Gennady Golovkin. And neither of those guys, right, were as high up in the pound-for-pound rankings. Amir Khan, when he beat Zab Judah, right, he was number 9 on BoxRec in the pound-for-pound rankings, right? Brook, in my opinion, across no governing or across no body, boxing body, has ever been in the pound-for-pound rankings, right, in his career. So, Khan and Brook, for example, were never seen as highly rated as Spence or Crawford, because Crawford's seen as one of the best pound-for-pound, and Spence is up there as one of the best. So far in their careers, in my opinion, they've not taken any fight, right, that I would say, oh my God, they're taking a risk. And what I mean by that is taking a Canelo fight, taking a Golovkin fight, taking a fight against Charlo, where you could say, whoa, that could be dangerous. Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia, Sean Porter, Brook. Don't get me wrong, they're solid wins. But let's not forget, Errol Spence was favourite to beat Brook. Even though it was a great win, he went over to UK and won. He was favoured, right, to win that fight. Mikey Garcia was a guy moving up 2 weight classes. Sean Porter, also Errol Spence, was a massive favourite. And Errol Spence actually did a lot worse than what people thought he would do. A lot of people thought Errol Spence would knock Porter out. And he did a lot worse than what he thought. Terence Crawford, everybody, trashes his resume. Sometimes he gets a bit of unfair criticism. However, even him, in my opinion, he's never taken a fight where he's a massive underdog, right? He might have been an underdog in certain fights because people didn't really know him that well, but never a massive underdog. Never a massive underdog where people think, wow, he could get hurt. Like Crawford fighting Charlo or something like that, where you're thinking, oh, this is dangerous. Or Spence fighting Canelo or Spence fighting Andrade, right? They haven't taken those risks in their careers. So to have a go at Pacquiao, right, for me is unjustified, because Spence and Crawford haven't taken those kind of risks that Pacquiao's taken in his career. And it doesn't look like moving forward, the way their career is going, that they're going to be willing to take those risks, because I think they've been protected by the people that are managing them, in the sense that they want to be undefeated. They don't want to risk of taking a loss. So, yes, they might be the best in their respective weight classes, right? However, they're not daring to be great. They're not going up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo. They're not guys that weren't as good or weren't as highly as regarded as them have done more daring to be great things than they have. So when you're seen as a pound for pound best fighter in the world, for me, you should be doing big things, like taking fights where people think you can't win. And surely as a fighter, that's what you would thrive on, right? Surely as a competitor, that's what you would thrive on. Because in order to make a legacy, every legendary fighter's been in fights where people didn't think they were going to win, right? Or think, wow, he's going to lose this fight. Mayweather, when he was fighting Canelo, although Canelo was young, a lot of people thought Canelo would beat him. And he schooled him, right? So, again, I think some Spence fans and some Crawford fans digging at Pacquiao is unfair. Just because I don't think they've taken fights where they've dared to be great. They've been favourite in majority of the fights they take. And that's probably because they're not taking as many risks in their careers. That's why Pacquiao's got 8 losses, because he's taken big risks. So leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. I want to give out a big shout out to my boy 2Thai TV, who's asked me to do some fantasy fights. And one of the fantasy fights he wanted me to do is talk about Manny Pacquiao against Canelo when Canelo fought Mayweather, and who do I think would have won that fight against the Canelo that Mayweather fought. Manny Pacquiao in his prime, we're talking about 2010, 2011 Manny Pacquiao. The Canelo that Mayweather fought, Manny Pacquiao washes that Canelo and destroys him. The Manny Pacquiao, when Floyd fought Canelo, when did Floyd fought Canelo? In 2014. Did Manny Pacquiao get knocked out to Marquez about that? I think he did. He got knocked out to Marquez, in 2013? The fight would have been a lot tougher when Floyd fought him. For Manny, it would have been a lot tougher at that point, because obviously Canelo's big and strong, and Manny had obviously been knocked out to Marquez as well. So, Manny kind of changed a little bit as a fighter. In his prime, I'm talking prime Manny, the one that beat De La Hoya, would wash that Canelo. Not the current Canelo. I think he would beat the current Canelo as well. But I think the Canelo that Floyd fought, I think Manny would completely wash him and destroy him. If I'm honest, let's not forget, Canelo fought Cotto, right? Canelo fought Cotto, and Cotto had a very close fight with Canelo, in my opinion. I don't care what the judges had the score as. For me, that was a close fight. Manny Pacquiao destroyed Cotto when they fought. So, I know triangle theories don't work in boxing, but nevertheless, and styles make fights, nevertheless, Manny Pacquiao in his prime, forget styles make fights, he was just a monster. And he was dealing with everyone. Right? So that Canelo has no chance. Manny at the time when Floyd fought Canelo, that would have been an interesting fight. That would have been a very good fight. Would have favored Pacquiao slightly just because of the experience. And I think Manny's got a great chin. However, Canelo's obviously a lot bigger than anything and a lot better than what, you know, you can't compare Margarito to Canelo. You know, Canelo's far better than Margarito and far stronger, punches a lot harder, got a better chin. He's just overall a better fighter. You know, Canelo's one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time. Margarito isn't. So I think it would have been a great fight. I think it would have been an unbelievable fight. I think it would have been a very close fight. I would have edged towards Manny, but again, that would have been a lot closer fight than the Floyd fight, just because Floyd has a very defensive style and he's very defensively good and it's hard to hit him, so Canelo just couldn't get near him. Canelo was too inexperienced and Floyd just washed him. I think with Pacquiao, it would have been a lot more exciting because Pacquiao gives you a lot more chances. He's more aggressive. So Canelo would have been able to land a few more punches. So it would have been interesting. Obviously, Canelo's so much bigger than Pacquiao. It would have been very interesting to see how, you know, when his punches landed, what effect they would have had. Because I don't think Pacquiao's been in the ring with anyone that can punch as hard as Canelo. I think Canelo would have definitely, and Canelo's very skillful as well. So, but that Canelo, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he would have beaten Pacquiao because he was very green. He wasn't as good. He wasn't as defensively as good. He wasn't able to set the traps that he can set now. And the Canelo now is a completely different Canelo to the one that Mayweather fought. So I would have slightly favored Pacquiao at that point. Pacquiao in his prime washes that Canelo. Like I said, I think Pacquiao in his prime probably beats this Canelo at 155, 154. But Pacquiao then, the one that, you know, at that time in 2015, when he fought Floyd, when Canelo fought Floyd, was it in 2013? When I can't remember. Was it 2012, 2000, something like that? But at that point, Pacquiao had started to slow down a little bit. He wasn't the prime Pacquiao in 2010, 2009. That Pacquiao would have wiped the floor with that Canelo. But I think it would have been a good fight. I think it would have been a 60-40 fight in Pacquiao's favor, in my opinion. I would have favored Pacquiao to win on points. You know, I'm pretty sure there will be certain people that disagree with me and say Canelo wins, but I think the Pacquiao at the point of his career when Mayweather fought Canelo, Pacquiao would have probably edged it, in my opinion, on points. However, it would have been a lot closer fight than the Mayweather fight because Pacquiao's a lot more aggressive, leaves himself open, gives more chances, and you know, Canelo might have landed some big shots. And obviously, Canelo being the bigger man, who knows how that would have played out, especially with the psychological effect of Marquez knocking Pacquiao out as well. That might have played a toll as well. So going in with a big puncher like Canelo could have been dangerous. So would have been an interesting fight, but I would have favored Pacquiao. Pacquiao in his prime beats any version of Canelo, in my opinion. I think obviously if the fight happens at a right weight, I think prime Pacquiao beats any version of Canelo. As far as I'm concerned, I just think Pacquiao was too strong, too quick, his movement too fast. That's just my opinion, but leave your thoughts, guys, and let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.
I want to thank you all for me reaching 7,000 subs. I appreciate your support. Guys, as you can probably see from my channel art, I have recently started Patreon and Blogger. If you were to click on this icon here, it will take you to my Patreon page. And I just want to take you through my Patreon page. So at the minute, I've got two options. Hopefully, I will increase this if my Patreon grows. But at the minute, I've got one option, which is $1 a month fan donation, which will obviously help me produce better quality content on YouTube and faster for you guys. And I've got another option of $3 a month for 2 live streams a week discussing boxing with myself. You guys will get to speak to me face to face, and I'll take you to my boxing blog. So if you were to click on this B sign here, it will take you to my boxing blogs, which is this page here. And all you have to do is click on here, and that will take you to my boxing blogs where you can see all my different articles that I've wrote. So as you can see, I've wrote 6 articles about different topics. So if you want to click on one of my articles, all you got to do is click on this, and it will take you straight to the article, and you can read it, and you can then go back and read the others if you would like. But yeah, guys, I thought I'd just highlight this to you. So make sure to read my articles. Make sure to subscribe to my Patreon if you're interested. And guys, I thank you for your support. I thank you for me reaching 7,000 subs. Guys, I'm out.